And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the big show. We got a lot, and I mean a lot going on right now. Alina Habba is on the warpath, and you know what? She means business, and she's not the kind to suffer fools gladly, shall we say? We're going to get right into that. Welcome to the show. Make sure you subscribe, share, like. I got some personal news, very good news to share with you towards the end. But we start today on Alina Habba. Alina Habba, who is just going straight after everyone in New Jersey who is in her way. And there are kind of a few of them right about now. I'm talking about Lamonica McIver. I'm talking about the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. Oh, I'm talking about the governor. The governor, yes, ladies and gentlemen, Phil Murphy of New Jersey. This is really setting up in so many ways this tension between state and federal government, right? The state and the feds. That is the problem that we keep seeing over and over and over again. And unfortunately, it comes down to party lines. Anyway, Alina Habba is getting sued. We told you yesterday about this, by Ross Baccara. Ross Baccara, who is the mayor there of Newark, New Jersey, has sued Alina Habba. He's suing the Trump administration because he says, you know what, this was not unfair. You guys put me in jail when I was out there trying to protect the illegal criminals that were in Delancey Center in Newark. This is this immigration detention center. Alina's response, pretty frank, shocking leak from Mayor Baraka's team. He's planning to sue the feds. Well, what do you know? My advice to the mayor, feel free to join me in prioritizing violent crime and public safety. Far better use of time for the great citizens of New Jersey. You know, she's from New Jersey originally. This was the thing that went down, right? By the way, Lamonica McIver. Yeah, I kind of like saying that. I have a feeling I'm going to get to say it a few more times around. She's facing up to 8 years. She's the lady in red. Take a look at what went down. This is just a few weeks ago at the Delancey Immigration Center.
Get off of her! You cannot push it! You cannot Congress! You can't push members of Congress!
This is peaceful! You are fascists!
Get off of her!
You are fascists! This is peaceful!
Do you hear that? This is peaceful. You are fascists? By the way, Lamonica is the one in red. You can't miss her. Anyway, long story short, yeah, they took in the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. But then, you know what they did? They released him. They said, you know, we're not actually going to follow through with this arrest. Apparently, he was far more willing to talk with them, work with them than this one, Lamonica, again in red. And again, if you are listening on Spotify, we thank you for that. We're looking at footage here of Lamonica McIver in that crowd. Again, you can depict her pretty carefully because she's the lady in red who basically was pushing herself up against the ICE agents. Now, she can do 8 years for that, okay? And you know who? Alina is not backing down. So back to Ross for a second. So again, he's suing Alina. She's like, yeah, that's exactly what your constituency wants to see. Again, remember just for a second, guys, this is at a detention center for people who are here illegally and have committed crimes. Okay, for some reason that keeps getting lost. Somehow these are the innocent victims, right, in all of this. And he's like, wow, you know, this was so much turmoil and now there's been damage to my brand and my name. I'm like, are you kidding me, buddy? You're the one who's like campaigning on this. This is exactly what you want. This is what they all want. This is what Lamonica wants, right? She's blaming, believe it or not, ICE for the skirmish you just saw.
Charges are absurd. You know, it's ridiculous. I was there to do my job along with my other colleagues. We have done this before. This is our obligation to do. It's in our job description to have oversight over a facility, and the entire situation was escalated by ICE. They caused the confrontation. Homeland came and, you know, caused this chaos that we see. It was a very tense situation, but it could have been, easily it could have easily not happened.
Really? Yeah, I'll tell you how it could not have happened. Lamonica, is if you actually conducted yourself more appropriately. If you had decided to actually make an appointment, like that's kind of the way it's done. And they would have given you an appointment and you could have gone in and done your little inspection and all could have been well and fine. But no, you guys decided to make a big thing of this. So Ras Baraka, he spent every day there for about a week until finally, like the protests started growing and growing and growing and growing, and Lamonica descends on the scene and a few others, by the way. And then by then, it got into what I showed you before, where things just started getting a little bit unruly. A little bit unruly to the point where Lamonica, I can't help saying it over and over and over again. I do speak Italian and Spanish, so, a chance to work on the accent. Lamonica in red, she's out there pushing her way through to the point where they did eventually get some video of her there pushing her way into an ICE agent, as you have seen. Right, so again, lady in red, and look at her. I mean, at that point, why don't you just say to yourself, you know what, this is kind of getting out of control. Maybe I'm going to back off. Maybe this isn't really appropriate for me as a member of Congress to be doing this. Why don't I just kind of extricate myself from the scene and follow up on this in kind of a more dignified manner? But no, that is not what she did. It's not what she wants to do. And then when Alina Habba said, hey, you know what? We worked something out with Baraka. Let's work something out with you. She didn't want that. No, she's willing to face the 8 years in federal prison because she would not admit that she was impeding law enforcement. This is what she told Jen Psaki on her Whoopty-Dipty show. More on that coming up. Ratings bad. But no wonder, right?
Well, Habba said you had declined every opportunity to come to a resolution. You said they wanted you to admit to something you didn't do. What did they want you to admit to?
I mean, there was a lot. We've had a week of back and forth with them, and I will say that I did not waver. I showed up there to do my job, and she wanted me to admit to doing things, all of these different lists of things that she said that I did.
Like what?
I mean, from things of impeding, I
just have to stop it. Yeah, like maybe impeding. We don't have to go back to the video, but you guys saw it.
There were some other things in there that she put in there, but I can't remember exactly what it was. But she wanted me to admit to these things, sign an agreement to them, and I'm not doing that.
No, I'm going to ride this for all it's worth into a bigger position, maybe as senator of New Jersey one day. Except that, you know what? Most people don't actually like this behavior. Most people look at this and say, why didn't you just make an appointment? Most people look at this and say, this is really not, shall we say, in keeping with a member of Congress. But, maybe you have your little district, Lamonica, and it's working for you in the district. But I don't think it's working in the rest of the state, or frankly, in the rest of the country. Now, is it? Certainly not working for Donald Trump. He says, this is the end of this. We're not going to have this kind of behavior anymore. We need law and order.
That woman was out of control. She was shoving federal agents. She was out of control. The days of that crap are over in this country. We're going to have law and order.
Okay, that's one way to say it, right? So Habba is smacking down now the New Jersey mayor who's trying to sue her and make a political name for himself, as well as following through here on the assault charges of a federal agent for one Lamonica McIver. So you remember her note just a couple of weeks ago, basically pointing out that after some extensive back and forth there with the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, they decided that actually they were going to drop charges. However, because it was in the spirit of the public interest, given what Lamonica had done, given that she was kind of, allegedly roughhousing one of the federal agents, Alina said, you know what, we got to follow through on that one. We've got to move forward. She said, Representative Lamonica McIver assaulted, impeded, and interfered with law enforcement in violation of Title 18 U.S. Code Section 111A. That conduct cannot be overlooked by the chief federal law enforcement office official of the state of New Jersey. No, it can. I mean, she's the U.S. attorney, right? And it is my constitutional obligation to ensure that our federal law enforcement is protected when executing their duties. I have persistently made efforts, she writes, to address these issues without bringing criminal charges, and have given Representative McIver every opportunity to come to a resolution, but she has unfortunately declined. Yeah, right? Because she told Jen Psaki she didn't do any of that stuff. Forget the fact that they got it all on tape.
Charges are absurd.
Yeah, really absurd, because somehow it's really appropriate for you to be out there decked out in your red. I don't have a problem. You can wear whatever you want. But shoving your body up against these ICE agents, I don't think that really flies. I really don't. I don't think it's behavior that we expect or should ever see from a member of Congress. But you know AOC, she's already come out with her threats against Alina Habba and Tom Homan and Kristi Noem. Don't you go near my Congress people.
If anyone's breaking the law in this situation, it's not members of Congress, it's the Department of Homeland Security. It's people like Tom Homan and Secretary Kristi Noem. You lay a finger on them, we are going to have a problem.
Yeah, well, in light of now our discovery that the Colorado attacker was actually here illegally because he overstayed a visa, I think that actually they have some ground to run with this, right? You cannot be over and over again defending people who are here overstaying visas, that are here, that are criminals that have been arrested and are supposed to be deported. I mean, that just doesn't really totally make sense to me, especially given what we know about our Constitution, right? And I've said this to you guys all day long. The feds trump, pun intended, state and local government on this one. Because in the Constitution, you can go right to the Naturalization Clause, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4. The Congress shall have power to establish a uniform rule of naturalization, okay? Naturalization, what does that mean, okay? That means people coming here. So Congress has the authority to determine who may become a citizen and by implication, who may enter and remain in the country. So as Tom Homan has said to AOC and to all of them, you guys don't like this? You change the law. But the way the law stands, the federal government has this power. Courts have consistently interpreted this over and over, and tons of examples to support that the feds have control over immigration laws, not just naturalization, by the way, immigration laws. And then you've got, well, basically the Commerce Clause, my favorite. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3, the Congress shall have power to regulate commerce with foreign nations. You know what? That clause can be used for a lot of things, including immigration. So immigration is interpreted as affecting foreign commerce, allowing Congress, therefore, to regulate and have jurisdiction over the movement of people, if you would. Jonathan Manson, thank you so much for your generosity. We appreciate it. We're growing here on the Trish Regan channel. I got more to say on that coming up. Allowing Congress to regulate the movement of people into the USA. You've also got the necessary and proper clause, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18, quote, to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers. Well, this allows, you see, Congress once again to have that jurisdiction over immigration because you need those in order to enforce enumerated powers, right? Like the Naturalization and Commerce Clause, and it goes on. I mean, I hate to get into a civics lesson, but the Democrats need it. Migration and Importation Clause, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 1, which basically has already been used to determine that, yes, Congress actually has the authority to regulate and to restrict migration. And then the grand finale, you've got foreign affairs and national sovereign. These are the implied powers. And by the way, this came up in Arizona back in 2012. And what did the courts affirm? They affirmed that, yes, the federal government has full jurisdiction over immigration. Okay, so you know what, AOC, Lamonica, mayor guy from Newark, New Jersey, you guys don't like it, then you actually have to change the law. But the way it stands right now, Trump is trumping you all day long. Somebody ought to teach AOC this. Somebody besides Homan, though, he's so good at it, right? Remember this?
Through this memo.
You're not the author, but you signed the memo.
Yes, a zero tolerance memo.
So you provided the official recommendation to Secretary Nielsen on for the United States to pursue family separation.
I gave Secretary Nielsen numerous recommendations on how to secure the border and save lives.
But it says here that you gave her numerous options, but the recommendation was option 3, family separation.
What I'm saying, this is not the only paper where we've given the Secretary numerous options to secure the border and save lives.
And so the recommendation, of the many that you recommended family separation.
I recommended zero tolerance.
Which includes family separation.
The same as is with every U.S. citizen parent gets arrested when they're with a child.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Holman,
family.
with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum and go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay.
So if you don't like it, you know what, you guys need to actually change the laws, but you're not going to change the laws. And the laws are the way they are because they're constructed in a way to actually enable us as a country to succeed economically, enable us as a country to protect ourselves. Right? And if you can't actually protect yourself because you have no immigration policy or you don't enforce your immigration policy, then aren't you putting national security at risk? This is something that Caroline Leavitt actually said from her pulpit there yesterday, that basically national security is very much intertwined with immigration security. This is all kind of one and the same. So why is it that you have so many people, well, I guess we know it's all political, all over the country, all in blue states, by the way, saying, no, we're going to take this on. You know, we feel differently. It didn't used to be this way. I've showed you guys all the sound from Obama, from Clinton, everyone. Democrats actually used to be very much in sync with everyone else on the need for a strong border. But suddenly it's all changed to the point where you get the New Jersey governor, right, out there tempting the Fed saying, hey, 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 come and get me. Look what I got. Watch.
I don't want to get into too much detail, but there's someone in our broader universe whose immigration status is not yet at the point that they are trying to get it to. And we said, you know what, let's have her live at our house above our garage. And good luck to the feds coming in to try to get her.
Ooh, okay. That was a bit much, don't you think? Kind of tempting fate, if you would. Well, he did. And shortly after making that statement, got Alina involved. So again, she's all over this. She's already opened an investigation into the governor of New Jersey, not for the woman in his home, because actually, guys, like, yeah, the Trump administration is not actually mean. They're not like trying to go after, you know, some poor lady who's living in the governor's home. Well, I don't know, given what he said, maybe they will. But they are actually trying to go after people who have committed crimes here in this country. And so if you as a state are going to get in the way of ICE trying to do its job and arrest people, then you got yourself a little problem, do you not, as Alina so recognizes?
That the governor has on his website currently do's and don'ts for his local state of law enforcement. Those do's and don'ts instruct them not to cooperate with illegal immigrants who have administrative warrants that have been issued by the court after due process saying that they are no longer welcome here. They have gone through the court system. They are to be deported. It is instructing them to go against our federal rules, our executive orders. I have instructed my office today to open an investigation into Governor Murphy, to open an investigation into Attorney General Platkin, who has also instructed the state police not to assist any of our federal, and they list our federal agencies that are under my direction, the FBI, the DEA, all these individuals that are trying to clean up our streets in New Jersey, not to cooperate. That will no longer stand. Pam Bondi has made it clear, and so has our president, that we are to take all violent criminals and criminals out of this country and to completely enforce federal law. And anybody who does get in that way, in the way of what we are doing, which is not political, it is simply against crime, will be charged in the state of New Jersey for obstruction, for concealment, and I will come after them hard.
Boom. Okay. So again, I already went through the litany of constitutional arguments here. You can take it all the way to the Supreme Court, New Jersey, you know what? You don't have the jurisdiction. You just don't, which is why now, even though some people in Colorado may be upset about this one, Kristi Noem actually has the power to deport the family of the Colorado attacker. Yeah. Who overstayed his visa and was thus in this country illegally. She's all over it. She said so on Twitter. Here's her little spiel to the camera. Let's take a listen to Ice Barbie. I actually don't see that, by the way, as such a negative thing. I actually think it's kind of great. She looks great, right? Why not? Okay, Ice Barbie.
Today, the Department of Homeland Security and ICE are taking the family of suspected Boulder, Colorado terrorist and illegal alien Mohammed Solomon into ICE custody. Now, Mohammed's despicable actions will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But we're also investigating to what extent his family knew about this horrific attack, if they had any knowledge of it, or if they provided support to it. I am continuing to pray for the victims of this attack and for all of their families. Our thoughts and our prayers go out to all of them, and I want them to know that justice will be served.
Wow. Okay, so that's the verdict on that one. And again, we should point out, this guy was here illegally. According to DHS, he overstayed the visa. So when, Stephen Miller's up there saying we kind of need to investigate everybody who's overstayed, everybody who's in the country illegally, this has to be a top priority. He's not kidding.
He, according to the Department of Homeland Security, this is from the Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs, Tricia McLaughlin, he entered the country in August 2022 on a B-2 visa that expired in February 2023. He filed for asylum in September of 2022. Sources are telling CNN's John Miller that he had previously applied for asylum in 2005. We know that the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, had previously tweeted that he had overstayed a visa and was in the country illegally.
Like how? Like how do you, So anyway, that's the upshot. The whole family, he's got 5 kids and a wife. They're now being detained by ICE, and it's expected that they are going to be looking at expedited removal. Again, according to one Kristi Noem. Let me show you her tweet. She writes, there's no room in the United States for the rest of the world's terrorist sympathizers. Anyone who thinks that they can come to America and hide behind the First Amendment to advocate for anti-Semitic violence and terrorism, think again. You're not welcome here. We will find you, deport you, and prosecute you. Definitely not protect, prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Our prayers are with the families, the victims, the people of Boulder, Colorado. This evil, she writes, has to stop. Yeah. I mean, again, this is why this team was elected, okay? You knew what you were getting. People said that this is going to end. Like, we're going to do 2 things. We're going to improve the economy, get rid of inflation. I guess this is 3 things, but I see the economy and inflation as one and the same. And we've got to actually shore up our country so that we know who's here. And so we need to close our borders. We actually, you talk to any conservative, they're pretty nice people, right? Like, I don't think anybody's saying, we can't ever have anybody come here, but we certainly have to know who's coming here. You can't just have, open season, or you're going to be looking at national security threats, as Tom Homan has outlined.
And I said what concerned me the most was they created the biggest national security vulnerability this country's ever seen. Not only did 2 million known gotaways, 2 million people cross the border, we don't know who they are, where they came from, we don't know where they are now. On top of that, even through the legal process, the Biden administration were bringing people unvetted, handing out work visas like they're candy, while they sat here and planned something bad. We are going to be dealing with this for the next 10 years. Because of the chaos they created in 4 years. We're out there kicking butt. We're arresting a lot of criminal aliens. We're out there looking for the bad guy. And when we're out there doing that, Sean, we got protesters assaulting ICE officers. We got members of Congress all over the country going to ICE facilities, raising hell, saying this is your...
Yeah, it's not appropriate. I'm just looking at Jonathan Mason's comment. You made this earlier, Jonathan, and you're right. AOC has never actually experienced socialism. I think anybody who's really experienced socialism would know that it's a pretty dangerous proposition. And so we've got a lot going on right now. I mean, they just think, we're going to open the borders and welcome the whole world. And, I don't think it's as simple and good-hearted perhaps as they're trying to present. I actually think that this is about something else, which is, gerrymandering, redistricting. They want to make sure they have enough people in a certain congressional district so that they can get more Democrats so that they can then affect more laws. And so it's kind of, sad when you realize that none of this really is all that altruistic. And Stephen Clark, thank you so much for your generosity. And I so accept the compliment. Yes, we have a brilliant news channel here. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that as we move through the show, because Trish Regan show now in the top 100 again. We've been moving up in the rankings, so it's all thanks to you guys. Please do what you can. Subscribe, share, like, all that good stuff. It's literally just me getting up here every day and coming to you with the news, and you guys responding. So it's a really wonderful thing to see. I would add to this that, you look at what Alina's doing there in New Jersey, and you consider what Pam Bondi's doing in the state of New York, and Letitia James, of course, is flipping out because she has no more money. The state of New York is losing its money. They're going to defund all of these sanctuary cities and states. Now, whether or not they're going to be able to get that all the way up through the courts, that'll be fascinating to see. But as I said earlier, constitutionally, they have this power. So unless Congress is going to come out and say, we're going to impeach Donald Trump, we don't think that this is fair, that he's cutting off the funding of all these states that are not playing ball, unless they're going to hold him to it and impeach him, I'm not sure that they got a leg to stand. I would say this is a positive given the negative criticism that you have seen about Elon Musk's bill, right? Elon Musk bill, forgive me, Trump's bill. Elon Musk's criticism of the Donald Trump big, beautiful bill. So Elon doesn't like it. Elon's trying to cut spending. We agree with him on that, though we really, really want to make sure that they get something through because we need the extension of the tax cuts. I mean, if we don't get the tax cuts, I don't know what's going to happen to the economy. Thank you very much. But anyway, Elon tweeting out here, I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You did wrong. You know it. All right. So here's the market reaction. Apparently, Trump's not so thrilled with it. But listen, I think they think the tax cut is coming because you get the S&P still trading in positive territory. You get the NASDAQ in positive territory, and the Dow's kind of flatlining right now. So there's not a tremendous amount that one can interpret from it. I do think that the president would like to see lower interest rates. He's citing the ADP report to put some pressure on the Federal Reserve today. But, look, Elon's out there kind of mixing it up. It came up on Fox and Friends. One of my former colleagues talking about it this morning. Let's listen.
It's no big deal if Chuck Schumer's insulting the bill. And Rand Paul and Tom Massey tend to be heretics anyway. They don't want to get their hands dirty. They just want to criticize, unlike Ron Johnson, who says, I don't like elements of the bill, but I want to make it better. That's, to me, the right approach. Ted Cruz, same thing, right approach. But I think the Elon Musk thing really caught the president by surprise. And I hear he is furious. But I think he's so smart to keep his powder dry because he just plays into what critics would have to say. The right can't get out of their own way. Instead, just you have a goal, pass it. Elon Musk is not in the Senate or the House. Don't worry about it.
Can I offer a different perspective, Ainsley? As someone who is supportive of the president's agenda, I am upset with Congress right now. I don't blame the president for the big, beautiful bill. I blame Congress because they go to their constituents every single election and they say they're going to cut spending, cut. And it doesn't seem like there's a willingness to do that. Even the same thing for the SALT deduction. It's not conservative at all. We should not be subsidizing California and New York. And I think from Elon's perspective, you're going to see him getting involved in the primary contest. Now, the president has a different goal. He has to get the bill passed. He has to bring people together. And he understands that it's hanging on by a thread. So, of course, he's going to have that position. But I don't think Elon is anti-MAGA now or anti the president now. He worked so hard, put a lot of stuff on the line to get a lot of wasteful stuff cut, and it doesn't seem like Congress is showing that same willingness.
I thought Elon was very respectful in some of the original interviews, just saying, look, we have differences. I don't agree with him on everything. But this latest comment about calling the big, beautiful bill a disgusting abomination, I was shocked to hear him say that. I can understand why the president would not be happy about that. This is someone who worked on his team. But you don't have to agree completely.
Look, You know what? This is the challenge. I mean, and it's always the challenge. And I have tremendous admiration for all that Elon was able to expose. But, you know, you get the cluster, you know what, of all the Congress people together, and everybody's got their own little pet project that they want to get financed. And what's hanging out there in the way? Tax cuts. And that actually, guys, that's a big deal, right? Like, we need the tax cuts. We need an extension of those tax cuts. It's really important. It's really, really important for the overall economy. And so, you know, Trump's looking at it like he just wants to get a deal done. He wants to get to the finish line. And all these people in Congress are looking at, well, you know, this, that, and the other. And now you get the senators that are basically, you got Rand Paul in the way, you got Ron Johnson in the way. They oppose the bill because it's not enough spending cuts. I don't know where they're going to come from, but they may have to, you know, go back to the basics here and do a little bit of math. No one in Washington can do math. You know that, right? Like 2 + 2 is like 8 somehow. These guys, they can't do any math. They're all a bunch of legal scholars, but they don't have any business background. Really. Just a shout out for, you know, me, because I do have a business background, and my colleague over at 76 Research. Take a look at our portfolio. I actually have to update these because these are phenomenal numbers. We've just been killing it. All of the portfolios, American Resilience, Inflation Protection, and the Income Builder, which is a lot of dividend stocks, just killing it. You can go get those portfolios at 76portfolios.com or through 76research.com, or if you want to get the newsletter, we get ideas coming your way all the time. Bitcoin is one that we just wrote on yesterday, which is why I got a kick out of Don's comment. It's slightly, our point, by the way, on Bitcoin is that it's become sort of the anti-fragile investment, which you kind of love, right? It's like the teenager that works out all summer and then suddenly is strong, and that's kind of what we're looking at for Bitcoin. Anyway, you do have investors right now hoping for this rate cut out of the Fed. I don't necessarily think they're going to get it. I don't think Jerome is trying to do Trump any favors, but I do encourage you to go look at 76research.com, use code word dollar, and subscribe to my research. Rosie O'Donnell is up to no good, so she's over there in Ireland now. Sorry, to my home country. Not really my home country. This is my home country, but, you know, like 400. Not even 400. Actually, quite recently, my family came to the U.S. I mean, maybe that'd be like 100 years ago or so. Anyway, great place, great country. I'm going back this summer. They have Rosie O'Donnell now, but she's, you know, Skyping in or whatever from Ireland now and then to talk to her favorite people, one of whom is apparently Jim Acosta. Jim Acosta, who now has a show. I don't think he's in the top 100 on YouTube. Just saying. Anyway, Rosie O'Donnell, she has a few things to say. And I'm telling you, guys, she's floating this like wild conspiracy theory, all right? Do you know how much trouble you would be in if you were on the right and you were saying anything akin to this? I mean, we saw how much trouble people got in, right? You know how much trouble people got in. But for some reason with Rosie O'Donnell, it's totally fine. She's able to say this. I'm going to play it. She's the new election denier. Kamala won. Elon stole it.
Been told from Trump 4 years ago, and we just were getting out of the depression of that. And then back he comes, I believe unfairly. I believe Elon Musk did something. I believe no one has ever won every swing state. I believe the down ballot proof. I believe that he did not win this election because I was looking at how many people Kamala Harris had. And I just don't believe it. And my friends say you have to believe it, but I don't.
Something tells me if we were to have that election today, we would have a very different result. There's no question about it. Rosie O'Donnell, you are the best.
Yeah, maybe to you, Jim. Guess the bar's not so high. Jim Acosta's show, Rosie O'Donnell making that guest appearance, floating a wild conspiracy theory that, you know, the left is going to try and run with. But they did that before. Like, I remember Hillary saying that. Oh, gosh darn it. I remember Jimmy Carter saying that he was not a legitimate president. Remember? He had like John McEacham there with them, and they were doing this whole like, you know, big shindig, and he's the like Democrats historian. And Jimmy Carter said that, and then Hillary Clinton picked up on it, and everybody picked up on it. This is back in 2016. I mean, the resistance was insane. And now they've realized they can't play that playbook anymore. So what are they doing? Oh, they're going to go back to, we're going to fight him at every turn. We're going to sue him at every turn. We got 700 judges. Schumer said it, by the way. He was saying in preparation for the Trump presidency, don't worry, we got this covered because Biden put in a ton of judges. So great. So now you're in an environment where all these judges, all these crazy judges with their political bents can get in the way of Congress and the president moving forward on basic things like immigration, which, as I just outlined, is very much within the scope of federal power. Come on, right? In the meantime, I think everyday Americans are shunning it. They're turning away from all this. They know that Rosie's woohoo, and they know that, Jim Acosta thinks she's the greatest thing since sliced bread for a reason. And I think this is being reflected just in overall media numbers that we're looking at on a regular basis. There is a crisis going on at MSNBC as we speak, meanwhile. It's pretty incredible what we've been able to accomplish here on the Trish Regan show, and I'm proud of it, and you guys are amazing. And Leslie, who's been here from the beginning, back when the audio didn't work, sometimes it still doesn't work. But I count on Leslie to tell me, or any of you to tell me. So, we've been here for a while now, and it's been amazing. And this is, to me, so representative of the transition you're seeing in media. So you still got the mainstream media out there, right? And the mainstream media is struggling. We talked about the challenges that Disney is having as a business and how Bob Iger would love to, get rid of ABC, but nobody's going to pay up for it. So he can't. And so now they're laying off more people. News this week that hundreds of more layoffs were coming there at Disney, massive layoffs. And that likely is to affect the media business pretty significantly, including ABC. So this is sort of just something that's been going on throughout the entire business. You also see, of course, that MSNBC is being spun off with all the cable entities, except for the ones that they want to keep. I think they're keeping Bravo, but most of the cables are getting spun off from Comcast because it no longer makes sense for their business model. So what happens to MSNBC? This is why it's a crisis, because as I said the other day, I don't know if this actually stays in business. I don't know if they can pull that off. They just released Psaki's newest ratings, little Peppermint Patty, who was the Biden press person and then got the big promotion to become an anchor over on MSNBC. And she's not much of an anchor, shall we say, on MSNBC, but she's floating her book all the time, talking her book, as we like to say in the business media, because she's got all her friends on. It's actually something that Rachael Maddow said about her. It was kind of like a veiled criticism. When Rachel was leaving the seat, she was like, oh, Jen Psaki will be so much better at this job because, she's kind of in the know. And she has all these contacts and all these, relationships. And I don't do that. I'm just kind of over here by myself and with my team, and that's that. And so she was making kind of a veiled, it was like what you call throwing shade, right? It was kind of a veiled criticism, frankly, of Jen Psaki, because what she was saying is Jen Psaki's so in the tank with everyone, that she's never actually going to give you the real scoop. I'm the only one that can do that, Rachael Maddow. And well, maybe she is. Maybe they're going to have to bring her back. Could you bring Rachel back, MSNBC? I don't think you can afford it. What are you paying her? $25 million for one show a week? And even that show's not doing so hot. So that's probably not in the cards, although I'm sure somebody's talking about it there, because what are you going to do? They're really struggling. This is a crisis. In fact, Daily Mail reporting it as such. Crisis at MSNBC is their headline is Jen Psaki's dismal ratings are released after taking over for Rachael Maddow. What's amazing here, guys, is the plummet. The plummet in real time. I want to show you this. Just incredible. So she's raking in 971,000 viewers for the month. Gosh, I think we had 116 million right here on the Trish Regan channel. Just saying, it's kind of nice, given my history in mainstream media. Anyway, Psaki raked in just 971,000 viewers over the course of the month, down from Maddow's 1.89. So she's basically doing twice as much, right? Or to be really specific, a 47% drop. According to May's ratings report, prior to May 6, Maddow, they report, had hosted her show for 5 nights a week to cover the first 100 days of Donald Trump's presidency. And so she's going to continue, of course, hosting on Mondays as Psaki, that's got to be tough. going through life with, I digress. I'd go by Peppermint Patty if I were you. Broadcast Tuesday through Friday. The numbers show that MSNBC's flagship show is really, really struggling. And they've fallen so drastically in recent years that now Comcast has said, we don't need this anymore. And so they've actually taken all their cable channels and they're bundling them up, and they got a tax incentive to spin them off. It was originally called Spinco, and now they're calling it Versant. I don't know, it sounds fancier, kind of French, right? But here's my question. Do they actually spin MSNBC off with it? Is it worth it? Or do you just shutter the thing because, it's a lawsuit waiting to happen? Do you just get rid of it like you got rid of Joy Reid? Or do you find a way somehow to manage it? I mean, you got a lot of expenses there, ladies and gentlemen. You got, that Morning Joe team. They're a pretty penny, right? And they get no ratings, like literally no ratings. So you're paying through the nose for them. Why? I don't know why. And I actually think they're dragging you down big time. I think that that's going to be a real problem. Yes, Unc Andy, thank you. We are killing it here on the Trish Regan Show. Appreciate your generosity. And yes, David, you like that nickname for her, I know. Anyway, we're killing it, and it's thanks to you guys because you're just spreading the word, and I love it. And yeah, we're beating MSNBC. It's amazing. It shows you, you build it, they will come, really. Hard work, perseverance, willing to get up here every day and sometimes not even know how to work the equipment, and have Leslie tell you, Trish, your audio is not on. Anyway, I appreciate your tremendous patience, and I think that you appreciate the transparency in all of this and the authenticity, right, in all of this. And that's not what you're getting at the likes of MSNBC or The View or any of these things. I mean, certainly not at Little Peppermint Patty's show. Arnold Young, thank you as well for your generosity. You're not seeing that there because, heck, she's the one who stood up there and told us that Joe Biden was great all the time. And then she's continued to do it, saying, I didn't see anything. Nothing. Like, what are you talking about? The guy, mental decline. Oh, they don't go there. You might actually be suggesting something quite bad, a la Watergate. Of course, the reporter who wrote the book, who I'm not a big fan of, has actually said, this is worse than Watergate. Here's Jen.
I left in May of 2022, just for the facts here. And I have seen Biden once since then, when I took my daughter to the holiday party this last December after he had lost. And so I hadn't seen him in person during that period of time. I never saw that person, not a single time. And I was in the Oval Office every day that was on that debate stage. I'm not a doctor. Aging happens quite quickly. Were things that people saw during that period of time that were similar to that or would have been in a category of that? I don't know, possibly, right? And all these books are going to tell us.
Like, do you think that were they actively covering it up? Were they sort of in denial, or was that just a bad debate? Like, what is your read on that?
Well, this is what I mean about cover up is a very loaded term, I think.
Well, it means you knew that it was really bad and you're pretending otherwise versus you're deluding yourself, which I think is what people do a lot.
Well, I understand, but I still think it's like cover up is often like a crime, right? We're talking when people use that term.
They say it's worse than the crime.
People use that term as they relate to Watergate or the covering up of not sharing public information about a war.
Yeah, and I'm not accusing anybody of a crime.
I understand, but other people have used that term, and I think it's a bit of a dangerous term.
Ooh. So that show's not really working out for you, huh? Surprise, surprise, surprise. Oh, poor MSNBC. I don't know what they're going to do now. I mean, she was supposed to save the day, right? Rachel said she was better than her. John Psaki's going to kill it. Not the case. Now they're like, Rachel, please come back. Would you come back? But I'm telling you, Rachel's not going to get the numbers either because you know what? America's been burned. And they've been burned by this exact crew. I mean, when you had this guy, Joe Biden, ask him, where's Jackie? One of my favorite clips. And no one in the mainstream media, cares. They think we're the crazy ones, right, for actually pointing this out, remember?
And I want to thank all of you here for including bipartisan elected officials like Representative Governor, Senator Braun, Senator Booker, Representative Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here. To help make this.
Jackie was dead. He's referring to the congresswoman who died in a car accident, and it's like months later, and he doesn't know, he doesn't remember. I mean, that was just par for the course. Josh Hawley saying on Fox the other night that he spoke with a Secret Service member that told him Joe Biden would go into his closet in the morning and get lost. Must have been a big closet, right? Or maybe it was Joe Biden and the mental decline. I mean, my big question is, you got two bad answers in front of you in terms of the medical care. What is the medical care for the President of the United States? I mean, that's a national security issue, for goodness sakes. He's either getting really bad medical care, which is what it sounds like, if in fact you're to believe them, that they had no idea that his prostate cancer was that advanced, and they're not requiring him to take that test because, when you're in their 70s and 80s, you don't need it, allegedly. Well, I'm sorry, you're the President of the United States. I don't think we play by the exact same medical rules as the insurance companies that don't want to pay for the lousy test. Now, do we? Get the test. You're the president. And so he chose not to get the test for a reason, perhaps. So he's either getting bad, I was going to say a bad word, but I won't. Well, yeah, what the heck, I can. Crappy medical care, all right? He's either getting that or it's a cover-up. And they knew. And they just didn't want to have to release those test results because they knew it would be a big deal. You know what else they knew? They couldn't run him again. I mean, if people knew that he had advanced prostate cancer, that would have been an excuse to get him out. And so, yet they did run him again, and they covered something up. I mean, remember the invisible chair thing? Forgive me, there was a chair. I have to be careful because there was a chair, okay? There was a chair. And eventually everybody sits down. But that was a heck of a thing to say or see. I mean, was it not, right?
And there's also been a lot of discussion recently about your mental and physical capabilities while you were in office.
You can see that. I'm mentally incompetent, and I can't walk, and I can beat the hell out of both of them.
Do you want to reply to any of those reports, and also to the fact that there are some Democrats who are now questioning whether you should have run for re-election in the first place?
Why didn't they run against me then? Because I'd have beaten them.
Do you have any regrets?
No, I don't.
Oh, they couldn't run against you. Don't you understand? Like you were elbowing everybody out of the way. And obviously you should have been primaried. I'm looking at it the whole time, in real time. And we talked about it here on the show. I said it. They've got to get rid of him. He can't be top of the ticket. And then it got complicated because you see, you couldn't not put Kamala Harris in, or then you risked alienating too many black women who are considered part of the base of the party. So therefore that became problematic. And so it was like, who is going to run? And I guess at the end of the day, they just made this crazy decision to go forward with Joe until like they really couldn't. And they saw those poll numbers and they're like, oh my gosh, she's really going to lose. So then they put Kamala in, but I could have told them, she's really going to lose. Like you thought it was going to be bad with Biden. Kamala is what we call high beta, right? Like a high beta stock. Lots of highs, lots of lows. But you don't necessarily want that because there are a lot of people that just don't like her or they don't respect her. Yours truly doesn't really respect Kamala Harris because I don't think she reads. I don't think she understands sort of basic economics. I don't think she can speak. Well, we know she can't speak. And so these are kind of some of the qualifications I would consider rather important as somebody who's running for the presidency of the United States of America. So she didn't have any of that. Of course, Joe Biden didn't have much of that either, but he kind of seemed like a nice guy, sort of. He's actually not. He's actually kind of a mean son of a bee. I've heard this from Democrat sources, and he can carry a grudge like you wouldn't believe. So are they scared of him? Or are they scared of losing power? Maybe a little bit of a combination of both initially, and then as time wore on, I guess they really started to realize, this could work for them. Hey, we got the auto pen, right? What do you want? You want a pardon? There are now allegations, I played you this the other day, from one congressman of this possibly being a pay-to-play kind of scandal. Whatever it is, Comer's on it.
They know that the American people think that the judiciary under Joe Biden and Merrick Garland was weaponized to attack Donald Trump. I think they know the legacy media networks were lying about Joe Biden's mental health. They were lying about Joe Biden's family, influence peddling the office of the presidency. And when you've got a family that was clearly guilty of influence peddling, a president who was not mentally aware of what was going on, and you're issuing wide-reaching executive orders and pardons, and the only people that are in the White House representing the Biden family are people who were found in our investigation of influence peddling, then it raises a lot of questions as to what was the decision process and who was forging. Because if Joe Biden wasn't authorizing it, someone was forging his name on some very important documents.
So you kind of wonder, people in the actual White House, what did they know, right? Like, what did they really and truly know? What did Jen Psaki know? Who was covering for who? And so Jen Psaki's getting creamed in the ratings. Like, are we surprised? I mean, she's not exactly, fun to tune into, right? And she's in the tank for one person. So that doesn't surprise me. What I would be interested to see is whether or not they make a decision to bring back Rachael Maddow and replace Psaki as they get closer and closer to the spin-off of Versant, right? Because investors at that point are going to be looking at those numbers and saying, we don't like this. We don't like that we're paying all this money, $25 million, allegedly. I don't know if that's true or not. I think Donald Trump's the one who said, I would find that hard to believe. It would just be bad business, right? But apparently they're paying her all this money to do one show a week while they get the little peppermint patty out there just suffering and tanking the whole shebang. Yeah, as an investor, I'd say that's not going to fly. We need something better. We must do better, right? Poor MSNBC. What a mess. It's like they just don't know. They don't get like what actually resonates on television. None of these networks do, in part because you know what? They're so freaking political. You got sharp elbows where one talent's trying to kill the other, and oh my gosh, they got to get Joy Reid out of the way, which I would commend them on that one, so that Jen Psaki can take the spot. Very interesting, very interesting. Well, we don't have to worry about that over here on the Trish Regan Show. Guess what, you guys? I'm really excited, really, really excited to tell you this. We were just named, again, in the top 100. I mean, this is kind of amazing. These are all podcasts. These are not just political or economic podcasts. These are all podcasts for all of YouTube. And here we are, like shockingly, amazingly, wonderfully, again, right there in the top 100. So that's thanks to you and your commitment and your watch time, actually. Like basically, they judge this on how heavily watched these shows are. So that's the good news. We are very heavily watched here on the Trish Regan Show. I love it. I love it. I love everything that you've all been able to do. Be Borrowed writes, yippee. I'm saying the same thing over here. Yippee. Oh, and here's the other good news. So we were number 52 last week. We just jumped up to number 36. What do you know? I mean, this is like no marketing. This is, I tweeted out that we're here, but there's nothing other than just sort of raw, organic, you and me. And I am blown away by this. I mean, in part because having come from traditional media and worked so much of my career in that very limited space, it's been really a joy, just a joy to see this and to see such commitment from all of you over here. So I thank you for that. And we're going to keep it coming, and we're going to keep the most explosive, truthful news here for you every single day on the Trish Regan Show. It's all I know how to do, other than, report on the markets. I know how to do that too. That's my whole background. So if you get a second, I would highly encourage you, go check out 76research.com, my company there. Use code word dollar. We just published another note on Bitcoin, actually. Sorry, Don. Sorry, I know he doesn't like it. But you know what? I like Bitcoin and I like gold, and I like them for different reasons. And, I like the market overall as well. Don's on your case right now. He's like, hey, guys, we need more likes. We need more likes on the channel. We should have nearly 3,000 already. We'll get there. It's a little bit of a later time slot for us today. We'll be be on a little earlier tomorrow. That's a warning. But in the meantime, go check out 76research.com. Check out those portfolios of the month. And then the channel itself is like up around 116 million. So it blows me away. I'm so excited. I'm so committed to this. And I love that you're just as committed as me. So thank you for all you do. And I will see you back here live a little earlier tomorrow.